Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Countdown to Infinity. It is episode 15 this evening, or today, or this afternoon, or this morning, or I guess whatever time you happen to be listening to this podcast. We are going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 today. I'm very excited. This is a good movie. I am James, and I am joined, of course, by Martin Scorsese.
Oh, wow. Really? Scorsese's here?
No, that was the first director that came to my mind, which is weird because I'm literally looking at the Wikipedia article for Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can see James Gunn's name right here.
And you went to Scorsese.
And I went to Scorsese for some reason. But yeah, no, Scorsese not actually here. Maybe in the next episode?
Man, that'd be sweet. If we
right?
get a celebrity guest like Martin Scorsese, just like as our first podcast guest.
Yeah, as our first and only ever podcast guest, we get, for some reason, Martin Scorsese, somebody who has nothing to do with the MCU.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, I suppose. You know what? If I learned tomorrow that, any Marvel movie was going to be directed by Scorsese, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yep.
yes, please.
Sure.
I would like to see that movie.
Trying to think of which Marvel property would be the best fit for Scorsese.
I don't even know. Well, I mean, like,
announcing Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, directed by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just completely unrelated to anything to do with the MCU, but I was away at GP Seattle this last weekend, and I got talking with a few of my friends down there about Martin Scorsese. It's probably why he first came to my mind, to be honest.
Probably.
And I didn't want to give that part away. It ruins the podcast magic. Anyways, we got to talking, and basically it was your top 3 Scorsese films. So let's hear them, Matt.
Oh God!
What are your
now? I have to think of 3 Scorsese films.
Can you not think of 3 Scorsese films?
Head?
Okay, so most recently, Wolf of Wall Street.
Is very good.
Hugo, Shutter Island.
Hugo was very good.
The Departed, The Aviator, Gangs of New York, and that's about it for the 2000s. And then we're getting into like Casino, Cape Fear, Goodfellas.
See, I'm gonna get. If I try to name my favorite Scorsese films, I'm probably going to get heckled by our audience because I've only seen like a portion of his filmography, and that portion of his filmography is not exactly comprehensive.
All right, that's fair.
But like, I've seen the Departed, it's really good. I've seen Hugo, it's really good. I've seen Wolf of Wall Street, it's really good. I've seen Silence, it's not really good. I've seen Taxi Driver, it was. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
it was all right.
So, I mean, Taxi Driver is I'm looking at I'm just on the Wikipedia page for his filmography. Is his highest rating Rotten Tomatoes score is Taxi Driver?
Yeah,
99%. It is not my favorite Scorsese film.
No,
that goes to Goodfellas,
which I haven't.
Goodfellas
seen.
is. You haven't seen Goodfellas?
Yeah. See, now you've put me in a corner because not only are you heckling me, our audience is going to heckle me too.
I'm not heckling you. Audience, do not heckle Matt. I'm going to take this opportunity. Going forward, audience, here's what I want you to do when somebody says they haven't heard or seen or played a piece of incredibly popular media that you can't believe they haven't experienced. Don't say, how have you never done that? You're an idiot for not ever seeing this. It's a bad idea. Be like, I envy you because you get to experience that for the first time, and I highly recommend it. Matt,
that's a good way to do it.
You 100% in the next few days need to sit down and watch Goodfellas because it is not only is it my favorite Scorsese film of all time, it easily ranks in the top 10 of my personal favorite movies of all time.
I've seen a high praise for that film.
I have seen it literally dozens of times at this point, I think, in my life. It is really, really good. It is one of the best gangster films I personally put it above like The Godfather and stuff like that. I love this movie.
I also haven't seen.
You're not helping your case here, Matt. You're making it harder for me to be nice.
I know.
That's fine. It's funny. This is like I would consider you a lover of film, and there are holes in even people like yours movie going experiences
absolutely
that are hard to explain, and that's the same for when it comes to music or video games or books. Sometimes there are just, you know what I've never done? I've really almost never played a single Final Fantasy game, like ever.
Yep.
Like I haven't played any Final Fantasy game in the last 20 years, and I maybe played a little bit of Final Fantasy 3 back in high school with like Bill, Morgan, and Alan.
If it's any consolation, over the past 10 years, you haven't really been missing out on much.
Yeah. Over the past 10 years, Matt has just been playing Final Fantasy whatever
over and over again, or hate playing Final Fantasy 8.
Yes, exactly.
Which I put myself through periodically.
All right. Let's talk about this movie.
Yes, now that we're 8 minutes in, let's actually start the podcast.
Yeah, let's chat about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This movie came out not even a year ago.
What?
Let that one sink in. This movie came out May 5th, 2017. This movie is not even a year old yet.
Wow. I was shocked when I pulled the Blu-rays out of my case today to realize that I only actually own one more Blu-ray in this entire franchise, and that Black Panther I'm gonna have to go see in theaters in order to watch it before Infinity War comes out. But it was pulled this out, pulled Spider-Man out, and then was like, oh, there's only Thor left.
Do you even own Thor?
Yeah, I do. I picked it up on its release day.
When that must have been fairly recently, though.
It was a couple of weeks back, mid-February. They announced today, I think, the Black Panther release date, or earlier this week, which is the second week of May, and the first week of May is digital. So
interesting.
Yeah.
See, I totally thought they would have tried to push for the digital release the last week of April.
Yeah.
So as every movie would be viewable in somebody's home, some way, whether that be via physical media or digital services.
Yeah.
I guess they just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. I get the sense that the pressure wasn't on, and then when Black Panther went on to be the third highest grossing film in cinema history, the pressure came off even further. But originally, of course, Infinity War had been scheduled to come out in the first week of May.
Right. Yep.
And if Black Panther had been scheduled to go digital the first week of May and physical the second week of May at that time, they knew already that they were going to sell out theaters for the entire first week run of this movie, whether they had it out on home media or not. Getting it out is not going to get more butts in seats for that first few days. But the people who would pick it up, who didn't get to go see it in theaters but would pick it up in the first week, would potentially continue the box office draw of Infinity War as people, because they if they released it right on the heels, it's oh, Infinity War's out, I should go check out Black Panther. Oh, Black Panther's out. Okay, cool. Let's watch it on iTunes or whatever, and I'll book my ticket for Infinity War 2 weeks from now. And that may have been their strategy. I don't know if that's a good strategy, but I'm just speculating. They didn't need more interest on release day. They need more interest in week 2 and 3, particularly with Deadpool coming right on its heels.
That's true. I did double check last night as I was watching Spider-Man to make sure that Black Panther was actually still going to be in theaters. Actually, really quickly before we get into this, because this is going to be we're tail end here. This episode is coming out on the 15th of April. We're recording on the 11th, and we're actually recording this and Spider-Man tonight with the intention of this one's coming out on Sunday. If you're listening to this on the Sunday or the Monday, you're going to get the Spider-Man episode on Wednesday, the 18th.
Yep.
And then on the 22nd, you're going to get Thor Ragnarok, and on the 25th, you're going to get Black Panther. So I think both because Ashley and I have been watching all these movies together just in preparation for obviously this podcast, but also for seeing Infinity War. I double checked to make sure that Black Panther is going to be in theaters on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, I'm planning to go see it Monday
or 16th. Night. Yeah, so we're gonna go. It is still playing, and it still will be playing on the 16th.
Not only is it still playing, it's still playing in VIP in Vancouver.
Oh, damn.
So,
wow.
I mean, provided it doesn't drop out of VIP in the next 4 days, I should still be able to go see it in style.
Nice. That's sweet. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I just love the fact that this last movie that we're going to be doing for this podcast, or I guess the last 2 movies, obviously, we're going to be seeing in
quote
theaters,
unquote last movie.
Yes, that's fair. If you don't remember, in the last episode, we did announce or come to the conclusion that this podcast would live on
for as long as we do.
As long as we do, because I'm pretty sure that Marvel and Disney will continue to make these movies well after Matt and I die.
Yeah.
In like 100 or 200 years, because we're gonna live for a long, long time.
Oh yeah. I mean, as long as they're making Marvel movies, there's no conceivable way I'm gonna let myself die.
Yeah, exactly. I can't miss out. So yeah, we're gonna keep going with this podcast. It will become a 3-time-a-year podcast,
more or less.
But I'm okay with that.
2 time a year next year, isn't it? Because they the schedule went up to 3 into the end of phase 3, but they haven't actually there's a 1 year or almost a 1 year gap currently speculated after Avengers 4. Because they don't know, they're nothing else has been scheduled, and the filming schedules for things that will come out after Avengers 4, nothing has been spun up yet.
I don't know. What's coming out, because it's what comes out after Infinity War.
So
it's
things we know for sure are coming after Infinity War are Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider-Man Homecoming 2.
So
and that's it. Literally, those are the only 2 things that we know are happening for sure.
Well, so currently, I'm looking at the article here. We've got Infinity War in a few weeks, and then we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp in July.
Yeah, and then Captain Marvel around my birthday the following year.
Captain Marvel in March of next year. The 4th Avengers film in May. This has the second Spider-Man coming out in July 5th of 2019.
Oh, okay.
So
that one's pretty quick.
So they are saying 3 films next year, and then Guardians Volume 3 in 2020. But that's it. There's nothing after that. Those are the only movies that are currently, I think, completely and utterly known entities.
Yeah,
so.
I would speculate that Spider-Man is going to drop back. Because if
I could see that,
I don't see them doing 3 movies in February and then May and then July and leaving November empty.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I also don't see them spinning up a 4th movie between now and then.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, there very easily could be something on the books that we just don't know about.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
We'll come back to this after during Ant-Man, which is by that point, maybe D23 will have happened, and we'll have the announcements for the new Marvel slate.
Yeah,
but yeah, who knows? I am definitely looking forward to Comic-Con and D23 this year, though.
Yeah, because I think we're definitely going to learn a lot about where this franchise is going, because there's going to be a lot of questions, especially after Infinity War. But
yeah,
all right.
All right, now we're at 15 minutes in. Let's start the 15 podcast. Minutes.
Let's actually start the podcast. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, released May 5th, 2017. This is directed once again by James Gunn. It is starring all your favorites from the old movie. Also bringing in, we've got obviously Kurt Russell.
Yep.
As Ego, as the big baddie. We've got Sylvester Stallone. For some reason, I don't know.
Well, the characters played by Sylvester Stallone, and I cannot remember the name of it, but the other Ravagers, the team of Ravagers, that's a reference to the original Guardians of the Galaxy team.
Right.
from the comics. So they hired like famous people to do most of those roles. So like Sylvester Stallone is one of them. Michelle Yeoh is one of them.
Right. Yeah.
And who's the Ving Rhames was one of them.
Yeah, Vin Rhames, and then you have frickin' Miley Cyrus.
Oh, that's
doing
right.
Mainframe.
Yeah. And yeah, because there were the 2 CG. Oh, and the one like ice alien, and I don't remember who played the ice alien guy.
Michael Rosenbaum, is that right? I'm just looking at the article right now. He played Martinex. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So yeah, there's all those folks. Who else we've got? We've got Palm Clementif, who plays excuse me.
Is that Mantis?
Mantis. Yeah. Yeah. That was a cough, not a I don't know what her name is. Yeah, so she's playing Mantis, and then who plays what's her name? This one,
Aisha?
Aisha. Yeah.
Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah, Elizabeth Debicki. Yeah. Debicki or Debicki, yeah. And then we got Pratt and Saldana, Batista, Vin Diesel,
Cooper.
back as Groot, Bradley Cooper, Michael Rooker, playing I would say a significantly, I mean certainly a much more important role in this one.
Yeah, it was weird they recast him as Mary Poppins in this film though.
I know. That's a good goof though.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Goofs we're a long ways from goofs.
It was a goof of my own.
God, this is a good movie though.
Karen Gillan in it.
Karen Gillan is back.
Sean Gunn is back.
Brother of
James Gunn.
I believe
Again, given a bigger role in this movie.
Yeah, and I would presume an even bigger role in the third movie, considering
where we end up at the end of this one.
Where we end at the end of this one.
Yeah,
so.
And then also briefly, I had his name, Jeff Goldblum, very briefly in the end credits, but only in the end credits.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
That counts. He gets screen time during the film.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, no, this is a good movie. I know that. I feel like expectations were actually not were pretty high for this one, because I think everybody was just shocked at how good the first one was.
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't even remember what we talked about in this podcast already, because it feels like it's so long ago. But the first one was definitely like the biggest gamble that they were about to take. Like Iron Man, Spider-Man, sure, these are all known quantities and people understand and have a history of these comic book heroes. But Guardians of the Galaxy, this is deep cut territory, even for
for Marvel at the time, yeah.
Yeah. For Marvel at the time, and for non-comic book type people, Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of a weird sell. And I mean, even going with like Chris Pratt, who at the time was not as huge as he has become because of this movie, because of Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I really like this film. It's really good.
It is.
But let's actually recap what the heck happens in this film first.
I don't remember. A lot happens in this movie, and you made me watch a second film after it between then and now.
I didn't make you. We had to.
I know. It was you that scheduled recording both episodes on the one day.
Well, yeah, because it's way easier to schedule that.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's hard.
Okay, so movie opens. The Guardians of the Galaxy are on the planet Sovereign. They are waiting for a monster that they've been told is going to come and attack. And they are, the monster shows up and they defend against it. The monster is attacking because it wants some batteries that it feeds on. So they defend it. They meet the leader of the Sovereign, Aisha, they talk to her, and she thanks them basically and sends them on their way. But Rocket, along the way, just because he's Rocket, steals some of the batteries. We learn as they're discussing with Aisha that the previous person who stole some batteries died. was executed more accurately. So they fly away. Of course, the Sovereign discover the batteries, and a fight breaks out as the Sovereign dispatch all of their drone ships to make an example of the Guardians of the Galaxy and kill them all. As they're escaping, Rocket and Star-Lord get into a like pissing contest over who can fly the ship better. They end up crashing the ship, but they are rescued by a mysterious white ship that wipes out the entire drone fleet of the Sovereign in one blast, and then follows them to where they crash land on a planet nearby. The ship lands, and out comes a character we have not seen before, played by Kurt Russell, who explains to Star-Lord that he is his father. So, everybody's, all the Guardians of the Galaxy are mad at each other, but Peter and Gamora and Drax head off with Ego, Peter's dad, to go back to his planet and learn about where Peter's family history goes, and Rocket stays behind with baby Groot to repair the Milano, or the Milano 2, or whatever it is now. The Rocket is attacked by the Ravagers, who have picked up a contract to locate the Guardians of the Galaxy and bring them back to the Sovereign. But in the ensuing battle, I'm losing the plot thread already. So the Ravagers show up. They try to capture the Guardians of the Galaxy. Most of the Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, are already gone. They do manage to capture Rocket and Groot. The Guardians at this point have Nebula in their possession, because that was what they wanted from in exchange for defending the Sovereign. So they got Nebula as a prisoner exchange after defending the Sovereign. They are captured by the Ravagers, but Yondu notes that, we're not gonna turn over the Guardians of the Galaxy and let them be executed. They're the Guardians of the Galaxy. At which point a mutiny occurs within the crew of the Ravagers, leading to all of the loyal Ravagers to Yondu being airlocked, and Yondu ending up in a prison cell with Rocket. And Nebula takes a ship from the Ravagers, having now turned these the Guardians and Yondu over the Ravagers, and let Taserface take over the lead of the Ravagers, and she heads off to go find the planet of Ego and take revenge on Gamora, because that's where Gamora is. Still with me? So, back on Ego's planet, we learned that Peter is a half-human, half-celestial being, and that Ego himself is essentially a manifestation of the consciousness at the center of the planet Ego, and that he has essentially godlike powers of creation, and that Peter also possesses this power, and that he created Peter and has since tracked him down, because he learned that he wanted to he had this plan for the universe that he wasn't able to sustain on his own, and he decided back in the past that if there was another Celestial that could work with him, that their combined power would be enough to execute the plan that he had for him, for the universe. So Peter starts learning about the various powers that he's got. Meanwhile, Drax gets to know Mantis, who's Ego's pet / personal servant / slave person, and Gamora basically hangs out, sort of serving as counsel to Peter as he's sort of working through his daddy issues and so on. Nebula shows up, tries to get in a fight with Gamora. We get some character development about those two characters, as we learn that Gamora always winning, and they were both abused by Thanos and pitted against each other in fights. and Gamora continuing to win led to Nebula being disassembled and rebuilt as a half robot, half being, or as like a cyborg, and they ultimately get some resolution where it's like, well, Gamora was just trying to survive, and she thought the way to do that was to always win, but she didn't really consider that in doing that she was leading to the abuse of Nebula. So there's a little bit of like, they sort of resolve some of their issues with each other over the course of that subplot. Peter learns that Mantis, having sort of befriended Drax, tries to tell Drax that Ego is not all he seems. At the same time, Yondu tells Rocket that Ego is kind of a dick. And Peter learns from Ego that Ego's plan for the galaxy was to basically overrun all the planets in the galaxy with himself, and assimilate the essentially all life in the galaxy into Ego. So at this point, everybody shows up on planet Ego. The Guardians of the Galaxy all team up to stop Ego from completing his plan. A big fight ensues. They blow up Ego's brain. Yondu sacrifices himself to save Peter, and in so doing, redeems himself in the eyes of the other Ravager crews, who had previously excommunicated him from the Ravagers for dealing in child trafficking, in the case of Peter. But they learned that in fact the child trafficking that he did was in fact to keep Ego from getting Peter and destroying the galaxy, and that he has sort of like redeemed himself by saving Peter in the end. So they give him a proper Ravager send-off at the end of the movie, like a proper Ravager funeral, and the Guardians essentially fly off into the sunset, having saved the galaxy yet again. Having guarded the galaxy yet again would have been a better way to state that. But now it's too late.
I'll edit it out. It's fine. You're good.
All right.
Do you actually believe
Not even a little bit, no. You're going to clip the front and whatever like meandering catawampus we put at the end and just ship the middle of the podcast with the theme song.
I mean, more or less, but...
Maybe do some audio equalization.
Yeah, I do that. And I have to like synchronize the audio. Look, man, it takes me a good 3.5 to 4 minutes to get this podcast, done.
And yet it's late every single week.
Was it late this week?
Well,
no.
It came out on Sunday.
Yeah.
At 9 p.m. So it was Sunday for us.
I was a little busy, but it was up on Sunday.
I'm just giving you a hard time, James.
We don't have a hard go online time. It goes up on Sunday. And sometimes it doesn't.
About 50% of the time.
And it's fine. Anyways, all right, let's start talking about this movie. That was a good recap.
Yeah, I think I mostly got it.
It's like I was right there watching the movie with you. I appreciate that you could just as easily just read the plot synopsis off of Wikipedia.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm staring at it, but I do try to not to read it because I don't want to just plagiarize the Wikipedia article.
That's fair.
So,
I mean, the Wikipedia article is just plagiarizing the movie, though.
Well,
right?
I know, but I do try to put it in my own words, and I do try not to use the same wording or
That's
ordering.
I mean, you also go a little deeper
sometimes. Yeah. The one thing I forgot, I'm realizing, is all of the disparate groups in the movie discover that Ego is bad in their own way, right? So I had that Yondu tells Rocket, and I had that Ego tells Peter, and I had that Mantis tells Drax. I forgot that Gamora and Nebula just find the cave full of bones.
Yeah, which is a really great reveal.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, which is the first way we learn that he's bad? We obviously know that going in that
he's
the bad
guy. Yeah.
But we don't know exactly why he's the bad guy.
As I recall, the first indication is Mantis being like, I have something to tell you about Ego.
Right. But I guess what's the first, like, is it the cave where we first are like, oh, damn, this dude has killed a lot of people?
Yes, I think that is more or less the, like, this guy's not just unsettling, he's also extremely evil.
Yeah, that's fair. So you like this movie, though?
I do.
mean, that's a dumb question to ask, but this one's really good.
I like this movie better than the first one.
I also like this movie better than the first one. I think this movie is a better movie than the first one as well.
Yeah, I do too. I think this movie... So the first one had to do a lot of groundwork just setting the tone of the universe that it took place in and introducing all the characters and getting buy-in on, like, who they are. And it was spent so much time laying groundwork that it didn't really, in my opinion, have a lot of time to develop the characters a lot. You get a little bit, like, there's a good arc there, it's about them coming together and finding a family among each other. But this movie does so much with those characters. Now that they're, like, established, and it just assume that you know who these characters are and what they're like and what their problems are, that it just splits them into groups and is like, all right, we're going to deal with all of your problems in this film. So, Rocket and Yondu facing off and Rocket being forced to contend with the fact that he's like basically constantly pushing people away because he's like afraid to get close to them. There's some of like Drax sort of continuing to get used to it, or some exploration of the loss of his family. There's like Gamora and Nebula and their whole like, and Peter and Ego and Peter and Yondu to a certain extent. Like one of the major themes in this is like abusive parents and what that does to people and the trauma it inflicts on people. And how that sort of like echoes through their lives. And so you get there, like, there's a ton of development. And I mean, even Rocket has some of that because like one of the reasons that he doesn't trust people is because of how he was made and the pain and trauma that inflicted on him. So like, I don't know, this movie does so much with theme and characters and it still holds together as like a there's so much going on in this movie as well, multiple plot lines happening across multiple locations and multiple groups of people, and yet it still holds together as this like tight narrative that actually like is really pretty cohesive and coherent, and like there's no wasted scenes really in this movie. Everything just like it's just almost a perfectly executed film. Like, it's really, really, really good for how much is going on in it.
Yeah, no, I would agree with all of what you just said. Do you think they so the visual sort of aspect of this movie obviously continued on from what the first Guardians did. Did you want more from that, or do you feel like they hit the visual aspect of this film sort of right on the head?
I think they nailed it, in my opinion. There's a little less like galaxy jumping in this one. Like it's less like you're on a planet, but it's a fancy planet. But they made up for it in like the Sovereign are super cool. You get a really good sense for like how that society operates just from the few scenes that the Sovereign are in. Ego's planet is neat, well designed, interesting. It's like this perfect utopia that is like, again, built on a mantle of death. The forest planet is a forest planet, but the sort of Mos Eisley spaceport kind of area feels very like at home. It feels, again, kind of like nowhere, but like,
yeah, I guess that's what I was talking about, is that the first one had that sort of reveal of nowhere, and nowhere is like, the story behind nowhere is, it is, the remains of a celestial.
Yeah,
right.
It's the head,
Like
the salvaged head of a celestial being.
It is essentially what Ego's planet would theoretically turn into.
Well, maybe
Well, I mean, yeah.
It depends on the celestial, because it's not necessarily implied that all celestials take the same form as Ego, right? He just happened to be a brain that was floating in space and formed a planet around him, but Nowhere is straight up the head of a celestial that has been severed and is being mined for resources.
I really like, that's just one of my favorite settings that any of these movies have ever done. Like, I really love the concept of Nowhere, and I guess I just didn't feel like this movie had something like that like this setting that really just sort of took my breath away. Like, as you said, everything was kind of neat. Ego's planet, kind of neat. But yeah, I don't. There just wasn't something like Nowhere that really got me.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's fair.
But that's like the only criticism I really have. Like, I really have nothing like even a little bit bad to say about this one, which is tricky because it doesn't leave a whole lot to talk about. But
yeah, I mean, there are some criticisms you can level at the movie. The movie is really mean to Mantis.
I mean, it's mean to Mantis because the only character who really interacts with her in a meaningful way is just sort of this mean guy, right? Like, so Drax is just
that's sort of where I was going to go. Is Drax isn't really mean to her, at least not intentionally so, right? Like, Drax is kind of a bumbling idiot in terms of his personality, but like he, maybe is sort of overblowing his jokes, I guess, is maybe how it plays at its worst, where he's like, oh, I think you're repulsive. But I don't know, like, a lot of people are like, oh, Drax is so mean to her, but I don't really feel like he's trying to be mean. I feel like he's trying to be, like, bantery and, like, ribbing. He's just really bad at it. That's how I read that interaction, because it's evident. Sorry, I'm cutting you off, I realize, but
go for it.
It's evident in the film that he likes, like, maybe not romantically, but that he likes Mantis and regards her as a friend. Like, there's it, like, what he's doing is he's trying to be affectionate. He's just really garbage at it. He's not trying to be mean to her. Like, he's not actually trying to, like, ruin her day. But he's just an idiot.
It's not even that he's an idiot, though. Like, right, like, in the first movie, they set him up, like, his whole the reason that he interacts with people the way that he does is that he comes from a race of beings who take everything literally, right?
Yes.
That is his shtick. His little hook is that he doesn't do nuance. He just says whatever is in his mind, and anything you tell him, he will just take literally.
Right.
And it feels like in this movie they tried to make it seem like him spending time with these other characters has changed him. I would say he is a different character in this film than he was in the first film.
Yes,
right?
I would agree with that.
And I don't personally think that the changes that they made to him and the evolution that his character took was really in the best direction that they could have taken. Because I think to the average moviegoer, I think to the average person who went and saw this film, they just saw a guy who was a dick to this person.
And just,
right?
like, being a dick to somebody who's already in a bad situation.
Yeah, and I get that there's nuance there, and I get that there's more than just him being a dick to this character, even though he's not really being a dick, he's just being Drax. This is who he is.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, as the writer, as a director, you've made that choice.
Yeah.
Like, you have made the choice to write this character like this, and maybe he shouldn't, like, I feel like there's a way to make him sort of the bumbling kind of idiot person who it's hard to converse with, because again, he takes everything so literally, but maybe he's sort of softened up over however much time has passed between this movie and the second movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
don't know.
like, to your own point, I feel like you're right. His character has developed between the last movie and this one, and a lot of, like, you've sort of helped me articulate this, I think. A lot of how his interactions with Mantis in this movie read are that as he's spent time with the Guardians of the Galaxy, he's sort of come to understand that insulting people or saying unflattering things about people is how you show friendship.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that, I mean, with two of his closest companions in Rocket and Quill, these are two unbelievably sarcastic dickbags.
Yeah.
Right? Like, their idea of talking to their friends is by pointing out all the shitty things about them, right?
Yeah.
Like, being a dick, but in a loving, being a dick in the way that this person loves you, this person respects you, and that you're friends. This is just how they communicate with each other.
And I mean, to be fair to, like, the movie and those characters, even Nebula calls them out. It's like, you people basically hate each other. But like, it makes sense in that context that Drax, who is trying to fit in and super literal about everything, and not good with nuance, would basically try to do that and not do a very good job of it, but not be malicious about it. And that's the thing. Like, I don't ever get the sense from Drax that he's being malicious with it, right? Like, he's trying to be good-natured about it. He's just not doing it well. But that still makes the movie feel really mean to Mantis, especially when she gets hit with the rock. Mantis is this movie's punching bag. But I don't necessarily feel that she's Drax's punching bag in the same way that, like, the movie just seems to hate Mantis. So, like, there is definitely a fair criticism of the movie in that.
That's fair. Yes, I agree with you there for sure. And I do believe that, I think that, I don't know. I feel like we're going to see obviously more from this character. I think she's even in Infinity War, right?
Yep.
So,
I mean, she's one of the Guardians of the Galaxy now.
Exactly. So I have every intention to see her get a little bit of screen time in Infinity War. Certainly not a lot, right? I don't think, she's not going to share the same screen time as really any of the other Guardians, probably. But certainly when Guardians 3 comes around, I am hopeful that she gets a lot more to do in that movie, because I like the character. I think she's a really interesting character. It is, you don't feel super great when the movie just constantly punches her down. Yeah. And literally at one point punches her down with a giant rock.
Yeah. Interestingly, and this is like tangent to Infinity War again, I saw it reported today that when Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes around, it looks like they're planning to shuffle the importance of the characters a bit. And it sounds like they're planning to downplay Peter and bring Gamora to the front as, like, the primary, like, the main character on which the movie is focused.
I would be I would love to see a Guardians movie more focused on Gamora and focused on Rocket. Like, at some point, I would assume that we're gonna get, like, a proper backstory for Rocket.
Yeah, maybe
in 3. I would assume. I don't know, something. I feel like he needs something to give
needs,
us a...
Yeah, he needs like catharsis for his issues.
He really does. Like they've come through in both of these movies, and while I'm sure that we won't really dive too much into it with Infinity War, like, this character needs some closure when it comes to his past.
Yeah, I'm just a little worried that, like, if we dive too much into his past, it'll, like, undo the mystery of the character, which is part of his appeal. B, I mean, I trust the writers of these movies implicitly to do interesting things, but I worry just in terms of, like, Rocket's character that if we get there too early and before he has enough character development, that it will be a regressive step for the character. Like he'll just go and murder all the people, if he hasn't already, just go and murder all the people that made him who he is, and he'll get the wrong kind of closure out of it.
Yeah, I mean that's just lazy storytelling.
Yeah,
right?
Like, as I say, I trust the writers to do something more interesting than that, but it worries me that might be what we would end up with.
That's fair. I mean, it's pretty interesting. There was the Telltale Guardians game, which I played and enjoyed, and you like in that they give the whole Rocket backstory in that, at least for that version of this story.
Right.
It's not canon with MCU by any means, but it's cool. Like I liked it. It gave me that sort of. It gives him that closure, and it also gives the viewer that closure, right? Like you like this character, you want to see this character at peace, you want to see this character accept where they are in life, and if getting a little bit of backstory on that is what it takes, then I would like to get it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep.
Apart from, I think there was a huge amount, or not a huge amount, but there was definitely a character difference when it came to Drax. To be honest, Rocket, Quill, and Gamora, I don't actually think they had a tremendous amount more growth than they did over the first movie. And certainly, at least not from like in between. Like they're all very similar to where they were at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
And obviously there's they each have their story arc. Obviously Quill with his dad, and that's the main focus of the movie. Gamora with her sister, and that whole craziness with Nebula, which is more or less resolved by the end of this movie. It's still not like they're still not best friends, but at least they're not trying to murder each other, actively murder each other, which is nice. I really loved Rocket and Yondu, together in the cell was a fun scene, with sending off, Groot to get the baby Groot to get the fin, which was a great scene. But the scene on the spaceship where, they have that sort of like pretty heavy conversation about, you are me.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Which is great. And I thought that was a really good story. And then obviously, Yondu's sort of arc in this film was pretty, like, honestly, probably the biggest.
Yeah.
In terms of sort of like impact and character, and wow, this movie actually, killed somebody of importance. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't think we did this, but okay, neat. Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
it's a good movie. It's a very good movie.
It is a very good movie. You got anything else that you'd like to chat about with this movie? Any other like favorite scenes? So for me, the one that I did not forget about and just was like, yeah, is during that scene where Nebula is chasing after Gamora in the ship as she arrives on Ego's planet, and Gamora heads into the cave. She flies the ship in there, and she gets sort of wedged in between, and Gamora picks up the broken piece of the gun
and hot wires
throws it on her shoulder, and literally one-handed hot wires the thing.
Yeah.
And just starts letting it loose, and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, that is a great scene.
It is a great scene on a couple of levels. I think Lindsay Ellis did a video about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where, like, her thesis on that scene is like, a lot of this movie is about family fights and setting them in a space opera setting, and it's like, most family fights don't devolve to this, and cuts to a shot of Gamora with the gun. It's like, but family fights feel like this. And that scene is great. It is the sisters are having a spat. They're just doing it on a, like, super heroic space operatic scale. And they resolve it, and their family ties come through the tension that they're involved in at that point. And like that, it is a great scene. Like that's a really good scene. Yeah,
that's actually just really quickly. That's a good. I don't know if it almost kind of feels like we're gonna. I like getting into the habit of being like if you like this podcast, you should go watch this media. I've linked you to Wisecrack in the past, and a few other videos. You just mentioned the Lindsay Ellis video.
Yeah.
It's called The Complex Feels of Guardians of the Galaxy V2.
Yeah.
It's about 7 months old. It's 35 minutes long. It is well worth your watch. And if you aren't just watching Lindsay Ellis in general, I highly recommend that you go over and subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
She is currently in the midst of doing a retrospective look back at the Hobbit series.
Oh yeah.
Which is phenomenal. Like there's 2 videos so far. They're like combined over an hour long, but they're great, and you should watch them. And you should just be watching Lindsay. Yeah, and there's a third one on the way, and you should just be watching Lindsay, hands down.
Oh yeah,
one of the best sort of movie. Like celebrating movie, not just shitting all over movie like a lot of the YouTube channels do.
She is one of, if not the best, like long form film video essayists currently working.
I'm telling Mikey you said that he's not number 1.
Mikey's also really. This is why I said if not. Don't make me choose.
Mikey and Lindsay, yeah.
My 3 are basically like Lindsay Ellis and Mikey Newman and Dan Olson. Between the 3 of them, there's always something interesting to learn or to look at a movie in a new way. They're all fantastic.
I agree. All right. Any last minute?
I don't know. What are we on to now?
You want to talk about?
Goofs?
I mean, yeah, let's talk about some goofs.
There are a lot of goofs in this movie.
Yes, there are a tremendous amount of goofs in this one.
There are a lot of goofs in this one. I'm gonna make some weird shit. What else? Oh man, too many goofs to even think about. Just in terms of favorite scenes, I really like the opening. Sorry, I'm rolling back, but the opening scene is great.
It is very good.
Just in terms of like setting up the whole family theme even, and the like parenting themes, because everybody I don't remember who it was. Again, probably Lindsay Ellis.
It was you were about to say
talking
that
about that everybody gets their parenting moment
in
it,
that
which
is
like
Lindsay.
Awesome. And like, but that whole scene is great. It feels. It sets the tone for the movie in much the same way that the opening scene of the first one did. You get the musical dancey bit that's fun and lighthearted at the beginning, but it sets the whole movie up. Sets up character dynamics and so on really, really well at the beginning of this movie to give you a strong grounding in where we're launching from.
It does a phenomenal job of being like, hey, you remember the first one of these? You remember the look of it? Do you remember how it sounded, how it felt, how all these characters interacted with one another? Here it is in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And it is easily one of the best in terms of sequels, when it comes to sequels, and in terms of reminding you of what this movie is following, right? It does a phenomenal job of just, telling you that story and reminding you of where you are and what we're doing here in this just fantastic little segment. A lot of people would just write it off, right? Like, a lot of people would just be like, it's just a funny little goofy thing. They're fighting a big monster. But there is a lot going on in that scene. And as, you talking about the parenting moments and how these characters interact with one another, even just little things like, in terms of goofs, like some of the first lines of dialogue are like, what, you have a gun?
Yeah.
I thought I did the gun thing and you did the sword thing. And it's just the little things like that go a long way to be like, oh yeah, right, we're going to watch a Guardians movie, which is cool.
I just love that it's like, that is not even just a goof. Like, it plays like a goof, but it's actually a character moment, right?
Sure, yeah, exactly, yeah.
The same with with Drax like jumping into the monster and like trying to kill it from the inside and then bursting out and like, I have single-handedly slain the beast, is like, that's a goof, but it's also a character moment.
Yeah, he truly believes he just did that. Which is pretty good. What about the Hasselhoff goof? That's a pretty good goof.
Hasselhoff goof was good. I think my favorite one in the whole movie is when the last Sovereign guy is piloting the drone and like everybody is crowded around him, and then he blows up and it's like, you suck. And they just turn around and walk away, and he just sits there.
I feel like his name is Eric or something. I can't remember. It's like, you suck, Eric.
Yeah. It's just such a great little moment.
I love the way that they set the Sovereign up as well. You get this sense that they're this very serious race of beings, and they don't like even smiling is outside of their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And then you see them all like when they go off in their unmanned fleet, just like they're like basically playing an arcade game kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
the
very
drones
like
are great.
It's very similar to like it reminds me of, or I guess Ready Player One reminded me of that sort of setup.
Oh yeah,
where you had all of these
the IOI Sixers.
You have the IOI Sixers, this giant corporation of just unnamed people, other than Eric, of course. Just doing this one person's bidding from the comfort of your massive facility, which is I just love it. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it's really good. I also like how sort of like haggard Aisha becomes at the end of the film, where she just like has been foiled at every turn. It's just like, it's like, okay, we've taken the extremely like prim, proper, stuffy, arrogant characters, and turns out they actually have all their own internal politics and are extremely flawed in their own way and can have bad days. Which I liked that quite a lot.
I love obviously the scene where Rocket is explaining the bomb to Groot.
Oh, of course.
That's a really cute scene.
It is.
All right, now I am Groot. I am Groot. Okay, I am Groot. No! That's
exactly
really
the same thing you just did.
How is it even possible?
Yeah. And then he runs off. It's like, we're all going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. And in the same scene with the like, do you have any tape?
Oh yeah.
And then it's just the single one shot on Rocket and Groot with Quill flying around, and you hear him yelling and asking all the characters for tape.
And then he comes back and it's like, of all the people here, you're the one with the nuclear bomb in your backpack. You should have the tape.
Yeah. Did you ask Nebula? It's just like yes. No, you didn't. It's like, look, she was sitting next to Yondu or whatever when I asked, and she didn't say anything. So no, it's really good. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun.
Do you got any real nitpicks?
Any like super nitpicky things in this one? Nah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything in this one that like just gnaws at me. And I mean, my nitpicks have been pretty nitpicky so far. But there's nothing that stands out to me in this one.
I much prefer like the real nitpicks, like, or not the fake nitpicks, like the like, that's not really a problem. That's just you being kind of weird.
I'm all about the nitpicks where it's like, oh, that guy wouldn't have actually drowned. His nose was above the waterline. Like that. That is the degree of nitpick I want to be able to achieve in every film, and this one doesn't have one of those. So,
All right. Well, here comes the fun part. Where do you rank this movie?
I gotta look at the rankings. Okay, so I have already said it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and so here's the fun thing for me, because we still need to make this change at some point. It doesn't need to be right now, but I still actually want to change where the first Guardians is on my list at some point. I'm not going to do it yet.
Okay, but you want to move it up?
I'm just going to wait, but I can tell you that I think I'm going to be moving it up.
Okay.
However, this one is better than the first one.
Yes.
Which means it's in my top 7.
Okay.
Right off the bat.
I know where I'm putting this one.
Okay. I'm going to talk this one through. Is it better than Captain America the Winter Soldier? No, it is not. Is it better than the Avengers? No, it is not. Is it better than Civil War? No. And I guess when I say is it better, I actually mean do I like it more than any of these movies? Do I like it more than any of those 3 movies? No, I do not. Do I like it more than Iron Man? Maybe. I definitely like it more than Age of Ultron. Which means I think I can pretty safely put this one at number 5.
Okay. So you're going to put it ahead of...
So I put it ahead of Avengers Age of Ultron, but behind Iron Man. I more than anything, I just want Iron Man to stay where it is, if at all possible. And I feel like it's not going to, but I don't want it to drop quite yet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 behind Iron Man 1 and ahead of Avengers Age of Ultron, which places it number 6 on my list.
Okay, so story time. Turns out that you're putting it into your list relative to another film in the same place that I'm putting it in my list relative to another film. Specifically, I think it goes between the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron for me.
Okay.
Which actually surprises me. I didn't think I was going to go above Avengers Age of Ultron, but thinking about it and thinking of like my reaction to this film just on the podcast now, again, like this is an ensemble film that has a whole bunch, like basically the same number of main characters in it as Age of Ultron did, but this does a better job of handling all those different plot lines and keeping them tied to like a primary central theme and maintaining a cohesive storyline that naturally all sort of gravitates them into the same place at the end of the film and gives them all resolution. And it does it with fewer loose ends and fewer with less sloppy a less sloppy feeling than Avengers Age of Ultron has. I really like Age of Ultron, but Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is most similar to Age of Ultron of all the other films on our list. And I think Guardians executes on that kind of film better. I still really enjoy Age of Ultron. It's, I love that movie, as I said at length on that podcast. But I think Guardians is a better example of that kind of ensemble film than Age of Ultron is. So I think that's where it has to go for me. All right. I don't think it's better than the Avengers.
No,
but it's I think number 4. Like it takes my number 4 slot now.
Yeah. No, it takes your number
4
5 slot. Oh yeah, number 4, right? Yeah. Because because you have the names right. Yeah. That's pretty impressive
for another 50 minutes.
Oh damn! Spoilers.
Actually, I don't know that that's true. I have not considered where Spider-Man's going yet. So.
I know exactly where Spider-Man is going. So I'm excited to talk about it though.
Me too.
And you know what? Let's do that in a few minutes because we're actually going to just record Spider-Man right now. Mm-hmm. But we got to finish this podcast off. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week and listening. Remember, we will actually be back on Wednesday with the next episode. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Mm-hmm. It's Wednesday for you, but 5 minutes from now for us.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, Wednesday, April 18th is going to be the Spider-Man episode. So prepare for that. That'll be Wednesday of this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening and subbing and doing all that stuff that you do when you listen to podcasts and YouTube videos, like liking and sharing and subscribing. And what else do you do? Tell your mom.
Make post first in the comments.
Oh, yeah, post first in the comments.
Please don't post first in the comments.
Yeah, not unless you're first, because then you're just a liar.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if you're not first.
Exactly. You can find a whole bunch of information, including our Twitter links, our YouTube, Matt's YouTube channel and Twitch channel. You can go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. If you wish to support us over there, it allows us to continue to do what we do here, including this podcast and all the other podcasts and crap shots and videos and streamings and Commodore Hustles and all sorts of stuff. We do a lot of stuff. And we do it because you keep watching it and supporting us, and we appreciate the crap out of it. So thank you very much. We'll be back on Wednesday with some Spider-Mans. I hear they do whatever Spider-Mans can do.
That's not even a little bit how that song goes.
Okay, well, you can sing the song in the next episode. In fact, that's how we're going to start the next episode.
Is it?
Matt's going to sing the Spider-Man song.
Oh, you are bound to be disappointed, listeners.
Aren't they always?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, I'm not waiting around this week. We got to record another damn podcast.
And we've got like 6 post-credit scenes to get through.
Yeah, there's so many in this movie. I mean,
I don't even remember them all.
Okay, so next one, or first one up, I'm going off of the Wikipedia page, so if I screw any of this order up, it's their fault.
Cool.
So, first one, Kraglin takes up Yondu's telekinetic arrow and control Finn. It's neat. It's setting up the fact that Sean Gunn's character of Kraglin will probably play a bigger role in the third Guardians movie, and then they throw in the little goof of him
accidentally stabbing
Drax. Stabbing Drax, which, that's always good. But I personally, I'm excited for this. I really like that character. I really like Sean Gunn. If you are a fan of Gilmore Girls, you will have known and loved Sean Gunn for many years, like I have. And I'm really excited to see him continue to grow this character in this series of films, because I just think he's a cool character, and I like him a lot. So that is the first one.
Yes.
Then we get into the big reunion with the Ravagers, which we talked about at the very beginning of the episode. So we have, who do we have here? We've got Stakar
Ogord.
Yeah, so Stakar Ogord is back, and then they're there with Michael Rosenbaum as Martin X, Vin Rhames as Charlie 27, Michelle Yeoh as Alita O'Gord, and then Mainframe with an uncredited cameo voiced by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Which is just tremendously weird, and I personally would think it's pretty awesome if she comes back for the actual movie, if they're going to do more with these characters in the third movie, which I assume they will.
Yeah, I think they got
it. It seems kind of weird if they don't do anything, but who knows?
Yeah.
So far we've gotten 2 little scenes during the credits that are clearly hints at maybe what could happen in the next movie. Then they go into the third one, which is Groot is now a teenager. And I think this scene is just to sort of make it known now, rather than have to explain it in Infinity War, that Groot is indeed growing.
Yes.
And that by the time Infinity War rolls around, he's either going to still be a teenager, because it doesn't really give any sort of timeline as to how fast Groot grows, or how much time has passed between the end of the movie and where we're at while he's a teenager.
Yeah.
But just establishing the fact that Groot is not going to be baby Groot forever is A-okay in my book. Like, that's just smart.
Yeah. According to the Wikipedia note, Gunn has said this sequence with an adolescent Groot is set, quote, years after the ending of the film, with the character appearing in the same state in Avengers Infinity War.
Interesting. So, okay. I'm not going to get into the timeline. That's too confusing. We got one more. We've got
we have
Aisha.
2 more.
Do we have 2
We
more?
do have 2 more. Sorry. Aisha is the next one.
Oh, okay,
and this is the big,
sure.
world building one.
This is the big world building one, and then there's the other cute one. But yes, you're right.
Okay.
So we've got a exhausted and annoyed Aisha, just feeling unbelievably defeated, thinking, all right, what are we going to do? I know. I'm going to create the ultimate being, and I'm going to name him Adam. And this is, of course, a reference to Marvel character Adam Warlock.
Yep.
And presumably who we will be meeting in Guardians 3.
Yes. We have heard from the word of God that he is not going to be in Infinity War.
Yes. So that's the big one, right? Like Kraglin taking up Yondu's arrow and the fin is just sort of like I assume this is where we're gonna go, and all the Ravagers, I assume this is where we're gonna go. But this big nod to Adam Warlock is like, okay, this is obviously where we're gonna go with this next film. So everybody can look forward to that. And then finally, good Lord, we had a very brief look at this scene during Rocket and Yondu and Groot's and Kraglin's like however many jumps they do. Yeah, it's just like that stupid one-off, like, you know, what are you doing? Normal human beings can't even deal with like 20 jumps, and you're about to do 700, and it's a funny scene. But they fly past our good friend Stanley.
Yeah, in a spacesuit.
Chatting with Watchers.
Yeah. I love the quote during that scene as well, just because, like, if you're paying attention to what he's saying as the flyby happens, he's like,
yeah.
And then the next time I was working for FedEx.
Yeah.
And like, apparently they're sort of like nodding to the fact that it is actually the same Stan Lee in every cameo, which I like. That's a good little bit.
That is a very good little bit. So.
But then, of course, at the end, he's like, all right, so can I get a lift home? As they all turn around and leave, he's like, oh, but how am I going to get out of here? Guys!
Yeah, that's a really good one. So, yeah. And then that's it. God, there was a lot. There's 5.
Yeah.
And, like, all really good ones.
Yeah.
Good job, Marvel. You get A- on the post-credit, mid-credit, just after the end credit scene.
What would have gotten them an A+?
I don't know.
Literally appending another Marvel movie to the end of their first Marvel movie?
No, you're probably right. This is probably an A+. I don't know why I'm giving them a hard time.
Yeah. It's like the A+ is where you go to see Guardians 2 and the post-credit scene is literally Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Could you imagine if they pulled that off? Oh my god. That would be the most incredible thing of all time. It's like, oh, by the way, here's the next one.
Yeah.
Not only did you save yourself $14, we kept this a secret. Enjoy.
Yeah. Not only did we film these back to back, we played them back to back too.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That is actually going to do it. Join us next week. Nope, that's a lie. Join us later this week for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Woo!
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.